Some of television's most iconic characters were almost played by someone else. Before casting was finalized, these lead roles came down to razor-thin decisions, competing auditions, network hesitation, and creative disagreements behind closed doors. One different choice, and your favorite shows wouldn't feel the same. Here are the lead TV actors who almost didn't get the part. Tom Welling as Clark Kent. Smallville. Tom Welling almost didn't play Clark Kent. During early casting for Smallville, Jensen Ackles emerged as a serious contender. Both actors auditioned multiple times, and producers were divided. Ackles brought intensity and a more traditionally heroic presence. Welling offered something quieter. The role required longevity. Smallville was designed as a slow-burn origin story. Clark needed to grow gradually from an unsure teenager into a hero over 10 seasons. That meant restraint mattered more than force. Welling's audition emphasized vulnerability, small reactions, awkward pauses, a sense of uncertainty beneath physical strength. His Clark didn't feel powerful yet. He felt overwhelmed. That choice shaped the show. Early episodes focused on emotional conflict rather than spectacle. Clark's relationships with Lex Luthor, Lana Lang, and Chloe Sullivan relied on subtle behavioral cues rather than dialogue-heavy exposition. Welling's performance allowed Clark to feel human before heroic. His reactions to betrayal, secrecy, and responsibility unfolded in micro-moments. Glances held too long. Hesitations before lying. Physical stillness during emotional confrontations. Ackles' interpretation may have leaned darker earlier. A more confident Clark could have shifted the series toward action-driven storytelling sooner, reducing its emphasis on adolescence and emotional identity. Chemistry also mattered. Welling's dynamic with Michael Rosenbaum became foundational. Their friendship worked because Clark felt emotionally open. That openness made Lex's eventual descent tragic rather than inevitable. The casting decision favored emotional sustainability over immediate intensity. Welling's portrayal preserved the show's core. Growth through restraint. John Cryer as Alan Harper. 2.5 Men. John Cryer was initially rejected for the role. During early development of 2.5 Men, Cryer was initially cast in the role. However, after the pilot was filmed, producers were unconvinced. The concern wasn't talent, but tone. Alan needed to be pathetic without becoming irritating and insecure without losing sympathy. Following the pilot, Cryer was let go. The role was recast, most notably with Ryan Stiles, who filmed episodes as Alan's replacement. Stiles brought a broader comedic style and sharper timing, but the dynamic shifted. Alan became more overtly cartoonish. That version didn't work. As production continued, it became clear that something was missing. The character felt functional, but not grounding. Alan wasn't anchoring scenes emotionally. He was just reacting to them. Cryer was brought back. His return immediately changed the balance of the show. Cryer's Alan wasn't just unlucky. He was wounded. His performance leaned into restraint rather than exaggeration. Small choices defined the character. Slumped posture. Hesitant delivery. Awkward pauses before speaking. Alan's humor came from discomfort, not punchlines. Cryer allowed the character to absorb humiliation without deflecting it. That vulnerability gave scenes weight. This mattered because 2.5 Men relied on contrast. Charlie Harper's confidence and excess needed an emotional counterweight. Cryer provided it. Alan became the show's pressure valve. The character audiences empathized with, even when laughing at him. Chemistry played a role. Cryer's dynamic with Charlie Sheen worked because Alan felt genuinely diminished by comparison. The imbalance felt lived in, not performed. Alternate casting leaned broader. Cryer leaned inward. That decision gave the show emotional texture beneath its surface comedy. The initial rejection revealed what the role wasn't. Cryer's return defined what it needed to be. Blake Lively as Serena Vander Woodson. Gossip Girl. Blake Lively was not the only actress considered for Serena Vander Woodson. Early discussions reportedly included Rumor Willis, Katie Cassidy, and Jennifer Lawrence. Producers questioned whether Serena could feel aspirational without becoming distant. The character needed glamour, but also emotional access. Lively's audition reframed the role. Her performance suggested confidence layered with insecurity. Serena appeared admired, but not untouchable. That balance became essential. Small behavioral choices carried weight. Pauses before responses. Shifts in expression after confrontations. Moments where confidence softened into doubt. These details allowed Serena to feel emotionally present even when surrounded by excess. The show depended on contrast. Wealth and status set against guilt, secrecy, and self-reinvention. Lively's interpretation allowed both sides to coexist. Her chemistry with Leighton Meester defined the Serena Blair rivalry. Their dynamic worked because Serena didn't dominate scenes. She reacted. She hesitated. That allowed tension to breathe. Romantic arcs relied on the same restraint. Serena's relationships with Dan, Nate, and Chuck unfolded through micro-interactions rather than grand declarations. Alternate casting may have emphasized sharpness or detachment. Lively leaned toward warmth, making Serena flawed but approachable. That decision shaped the show's emotional tone. Bryan Cranston as Walter White, Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston was not the network's preferred choice for Walter White. Executives initially favored established dramatic actors, including John Cusack and Matthew Broderick. Cranston's background in comedy raised concerns about credibility. Series creator Vince Gilligan saw that background as an advantage. Walter White wasn't meant to begin as intimidating. He was meant to feel ordinary. Cranston's audition demonstrated control rather than force. His Walter appeared restrained, frustrated, and quietly desperate. The performance avoided grand gestures. Instead, tension built slowly. Transformation was the key. Walter White didn't become Heisenberg overnight. Cranston understood that moral decay required patience. Each decision stacked on the last. Small physical details marked progression. Adjusting his glasses. Controlled breathing during stress. Pauses before asserting authority. These moments signaled change without announcing it. Cranston avoided caricature. Walter never felt like a villain performing evil. He felt like a man rationalizing his choices. Chemistry with Aaron Paul was essential. Jesse's struggles felt authentic because of Cranston's grounded reactions. Alternate casting might have diminished the emotional intensity. Even minor hospital scenes and family confrontations relied on Cranston's timing. Alternate casting may have leaned too sympathetic or too menacing. Cranston preserved ambiguity. That balance defined Breaking Bad's moral complexity. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. We all thank you for your continued support. James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano. The Sopranos. James Gandolfini almost didn't play Tony Soprano. During early development of The Sopranos, HBO executives questioned whether Gandolfini could carry a television series. Some felt he was too physically imposing. Others worried he lacked the conventional charisma expected of a lead. Tony Soprano was violent, emotionally volatile, and morally compromised, and there was concern audiences wouldn't want to stay with him long-term. Several other actors were discussed or considered during development. Ray Liotta was a frequent reference point, especially after Goodfellas. Michael Rispoli also auditioned for the role and was viewed as a more traditional mob archetype. These alternatives leaned toward familiarity and genre expectation. Series creator David Chase resisted that direction. He didn't want Tony to feel cinematic or glamorous. He wanted contradiction. Gandolfini's audition revealed vulnerability beneath intimidation. His Tony was reactive, insecure, and emotionally fractured. He didn't project authority so much as struggle with it. Small performance choices defined the role. abrupt shifts between rage and silence, physical stillness during therapy sessions, hesitation after moments of cruelty. These micro-behaviors made Tony feel psychologically real rather than symbolic. The character's power came from duality. Tony could be tender and terrifying in the same scene. Gandolfini never softened him to make him likable. He made him recognizable. Another actor may have leaned into charm or menace. Gandolfini leaned into contradiction. That choice reshaped television storytelling and established the modern TV anti-hero. Jennifer Aniston as Rachel Green, Friends. Jennifer Aniston nearly lost the role of Rachel Green. Tiffany Thiessen was a serious alternative. Producers worried about age, chemistry with the ensemble, and whether Rachel would feel relatable. Auditions reportedly went late into the night. Jennifer Aniston's tape stood out immediately, showcasing warmth, comedic timing, and subtle vulnerability. Rachel needed charm, awkwardness, and room to grow. Aniston's nervous laughs, expressive pauses, and quick glances captured Rachel's evolution from a spoiled runaway bride to an independent woman. Thiessen might have played a more polished version of Rachel, potentially losing the character's relatability. Chemistry with the group defined Friends. Rachel's imperfections allowed ensemble humor and romance to feel authentic. Early coffeehouse and apartment scenes highlight Aniston's ability to balance comedy with emotional beats. Rachel's journey required believability, and Aniston sold every step. She made Rachel's failures funny and her successes earned. Her willingness to look foolish made the character lovable. Without Aniston, Friends might have lacked emotional warmth, and its central romance could have felt less engaging. Without Aniston, Friends might have lacked emotional warmth, and its central romance could have felt less engaging. And sometimes, a show lives or dies on whether audiences believe two people belong together. Patrick Dempsey as Derek Shepherd. Grey's Anatomy. Patrick Dempsey was not the first actor offered Derek Shepherd. Rob Lowe reportedly turned down the role. When Dempsey auditioned, producers immediately noticed his chemistry with Ellen Pompeo. Derek required authority without detachment, confidence without arrogance. Dempsey delivered that balance through subtlety. Dempsey's glances, soft smiles, and playful smirks made Meredith and Derek's relationship believable. Another actor might have skewed Derek more distant, polished, or emotionally inaccessible. Even minor gestures like hand movements during surgeries, eye contact in tense scenes, and a calm tone when delivering life-or-death dialogue mattered. These details made Derek feel real and layered. Nuances defined McDreamy's iconic charm. Chemistry with Christina, Alex, and the ensemble was essential. Dempsey's presence created tension, romance, and humor. Without him, Grey's Anatomy could have felt colder, less engaging, and dramatic arcs might have missed emotional resonance. Derek's appeal came from balance. He was brilliant but humble, confident but caring. Dempsey portrayed a surgeon who saved lives while struggling with emotional scars. His chemistry with Meredith felt effortless. Their banter, stolen glances, and quiet moments built one of television's most beloved romances. Lowe might have brought star power, but Dempsey brought authenticity. If Lowe had been cast, the series might have lost emotional depth, and Meredith's character arc may not have resonated the same way. Misha Barton as Marissa Cooper, the OC. Misha Barton almost didn't play Marissa Cooper. During casting, Olivia Wilde emerged as a strong alternative. Producers debated which actress could best balance vulnerability, privilege, and emotional volatility. Marissa needed to feel aspirational while still deeply fragile. Barton's audition leaned into emotional exposure. Her Marissa felt open rather than guarded. She reacted visibly to conflict, often before speaking. Small expressions carried meaning, hesitations during confrontations, uncertain smiles during moments of connection. These details made romance, tension, and rivalries believable. Small differences could have affected audience empathy and long-term investment. Chemistry with co-stars shaped the show's tone. Barton's natural interplay with Adam Brody and Benjamin McKenzie gave scenes emotional weight. Another actress might have created awkward rhythm or less believable dynamics. Marissa's fashion, vulnerability, and humor were central to the show. Barton's casting helped define the OC's teen drama aesthetic and emotional stakes. Marissa carried the weight of privilege, expectation, and trauma. Barton portrayed struggles with addiction, toxic relationships, and self-destruction with fragility rather than excess. Her performance made Marissa's darker moments feel earned, not exploitative. Wilde might have brought intensity, but Barton brought vulnerability. That fragility made audiences root for Marissa despite her mistakes. Without Barton, Marissa might have felt more distant and less sympathetic. Gillian Anderson as Dana Scully. The X-Files. Gillian Anderson was not the network's first choice for Dana Scully. Executives initially preferred someone more conventionally glamorous. Creator Chris Carter pushed back. The role required authority and credibility above all else. Anderson delivered both through restraint. Her performance emphasized intelligence without arrogance, skepticism without dismissal. Small choices reinforced that authority. Controlled vocal delivery, minimal gestures, measured eye contact. Scully didn't react impulsively. She evaluated. That grounding was essential. The X-Files balanced paranormal concepts with procedural realism. Anderson anchored the show's most extreme ideas. Chemistry with David Duchovny defined the show. Alternate casting could have disrupted tension, humor, or emotional connection. Scully's grounded presence anchored Mulder's extremes. Anderson's subtle performance elevated both investigative scenes and personal moments. The hallway exchanges, lab scenes, and quiet reflections were key to the show's tone. Scully wasn't just a skeptic. She was a scientist navigating a male-dominated field. Anderson portrayed this without making Scully preachy or one-dimensional. Her restraint made vulnerable moments more powerful. When Scully broke down, it mattered. Anderson turned Scully into a role model. Without her, the X-Files might have leaned toward spectacle over credibility. David Schwimmer as Ross Geller. Friends. Eric McCormack was considered for the role. Schwimmer was cast for timing, awkward charm, and ensemble chemistry. McCormack lacked the subtle awkwardness needed to sell Ross's intellectual humor. Ross required intelligence, insecurity, and emotional openness. Schwimmer's stutters, facial expressions, and physical comedy defined the character. McCormack might have played Ross more polished, losing the neurotic edge. Even minor gestures mattered. Every glance, pause, and exaggerated reaction that built awkward humor. These details made Ross simultaneously romantic, relatable, and comedic. Chemistry with Rachel and the ensemble was essential. Alternate casting might have weakened the will they, won't they tension and diluted group dynamics. Early apartment and coffeehouse scenes highlighted Schwimmer's comedic timing. Ross was the group's intellectual, often insecure and overly emotional. Schwimmer leaned into embarrassment, jealousy, and overreaction. Moments like the leather pants incident, jealousy over Mark, and the couch meltdown showed that. McCormack had talent, but his strengths leaned toward refined comedy. Ross needed someone willing to go broad. Schwimmer's commitment made Ross lovable despite flaws. Without him, Friends might have lost some of its most iconic comedic moments. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. Smallville. Michael Rosenbaum nearly lost the role of Lex Luthor to Zachary Levi. Rosenbaum's audition emphasized internal conflict. His Lex felt controlled, intelligent, and deeply insecure. Lex needed tension, unpredictability, and emotional complexity. Rosenbaum's controlled gestures, pauses, and micro-expressions conveyed insecurity and manipulation at the same time. Even minor gestures mattered. His intense eye contact during confrontations with Clark, restrained body language, and quiet smirks. These cues built emotional tension and suspense. Chemistry with Clark was crucial. Rosenbaum's interplay with Tom Welling created a believable friendship-turned rivalry. Levi might have softened that dynamic. Lex wasn't just a villain. He was Clark's best friend, a victim of abuse, and a man desperate for approval. Rosenbaum played all layers simultaneously. His portrayal made Lex's descent into darkness tragic rather than inevitable. Every betrayal felt earned. Scenes in the mansion library, tense dinners with Lionel, and quiet conversations with Clark was proof. His body language alone told stories. Without Rosenbaum, Smallville might have lost its most compelling antagonist. John Hamm as Don Draper. Mad Men. Multiple actors were considered, and studios wanted name recognition. John Hamm was relatively unknown. Matthew Weiner fought for him. Hamm's audition captured mystery, restraint, and quiet authority. Don Draper required charm, emotional detachment, and inner conflict. Hamm's stillness, calculated pauses, and piercing stares made Don mesmerizing. Another actor might have played him too warm or too cold. Even subtle gestures mattered. These moments defined Don's enigmatic nature. A different actor might have over-explained or undersold the character's depth. Chemistry with the ensemble was critical. Hamm's interactions with Peggy, Betty, and Roger created layered dynamics. His presence commanded scenes without overshadowing co-stars. The balance between authority and vulnerability shaped Mad Men's tone. Another actor might have leaned too heavily into one dimension. Don Draper was a man living a lie. He stole an identity, built an empire on charm and creativity, and destroyed relationships through emotional unavailability. Hamm made all of this compelling. His stillness communicated volumes. When Don smiled, it felt dangerous. When he cried, it felt devastating. The role required restraint, and Hamm delivered it perfectly. A more famous actor might have brought baggage, preconceptions, or a need to make Don likable. Hamm let Don be complicated, flawed, and often unlikable. That honesty made Mad Men groundbreaking. A more famous actor might have brought baggage or preconceptions. Hamm's anonymity allowed Don to feel authentic. His casting preserved Mad Men's sophisticated atmosphere and made Don Draper one of television's most complex anti-heroes. Sometimes one audition changes everything. Tom Welling made Clark human. Blake Lively turned Serena into an icon. Bryan Cranston reinvented Walter White. Without them, these shows might not have worked at all. Which alternate casting do you think would have changed TV history? And which risky choice paid off the most? If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and drop us a note in the comments letting us know what you want to see us do next.